I'm going to show you how to look up triggered alerts via the Aria Operations REST API. Let's get started. Hi everyone, I'm Watrous from VVork. If this is your first time here and you want to learn about automating, programming, and monitoring in VMware environments, you're in the right place. In the previous video, we saw how to look up the definitions of alerts through the Aria Operations REST API. In this video, we're going to turn our attention to looking up the alerts that have triggered. All right, let's go take a look at it in the lab environment. Now, once again, for this to all make sense, we should probably go first to Aria Operations and take a look at any alerts through that user interface. So we'll go ahead and go to Aria Operations. As you can see, I'm already logged in as admin, and I'm currently in the Configure Alert section, which is not where we want to be right now. This is where you would go to see the alerts that, and specifically how the alerts are defined. I don't want to see how the alerts are defined. I want to see which alerts have triggered. So I'm going to go from Configure over to Troubleshoot Alerts, and this here is a list of alerts. You can expand further and further to see information about each of these, but each of these is an alert that has triggered in our environment. Now, as you can see, I have a limited number of alerts here. If you want to, you can expand each of these and see information about each of them individually. But the point here in showing you this is to show you that I already have some alerts that are triggering. But what we want to do is go back over to Postman and see how we can use REST requests to the Aria Operations REST API to look up those triggered alerts. So let's do that by going to Get All Alerts. Its URL is very similar for the endpoint URL that we saw previously for Get All Alert Definitions. The key thing that's different here is instead of alert definitions, right here it says alerts. But otherwise it works the same. We've got the same base URL, we've got the same path parameters, but we're going to say alerts instead of alert definitions. So alert definitions is to look up alert definitions. Alerts is to look up alerts that have triggered. Now, as you can see, I have a post response script right here that is going to take the list of all of the triggered alerts that we're just about to discover in our request, and it's going to just pick one of them, the first one, and store its alert ID into a Postman variable called Aria Ops Alert _ID. That way I can use this Postman variable later on. So to prove to you that this is working, I'm going over to my environment variables and notice that Aria Ops _alert _ID is currently blank. All right, let's go ahead and get all those alerts by clicking Send. So we click Send, and as you can see, I got back a 200 series code, and I got back a bunch of alerts. Why don't we, first of all, take a look at the alert ID for the first one. So notice this is our first alert. Alert ID is 2376, blah, blah, blah. And if we go over to our environment variables and look at the alert ID variable, it is in fact set to the same thing, 2376, blah, blah, blah. All right, so our ability to save the alert IDs is implemented correctly. It works, so let's forget about that. And instead, let's take a look at what the format is of the information that we're getting back for alerts. So to do this, I'm going to copy our response body. I'm going to take it over into Notepad++. I'll open up a new tab. I'll paste it in. And so that we can understand the structure here, I'm going to open the JSON tree viewer. And as you can see here in the tree viewer, we've got the same first two elements that we've seen in previous videos. So go back if you want to find out what the page info and the links are about. But here are our 10 alerts. Wait a second. We saw far more than 10 alerts when we were in Aria Operations. Why do we only see 10 here? Well, remember, that's what the path parameter page size is doing right here. So we're getting back 10 alerts. Here's an entry for each of those alerts. Here comes the first one. And as you can see, for each alert, we can see its ID. Again, that ID could be useful later on if you wanted to do something such as get one alert ID. So I can do a lookup on that one alert ID. I can find out what resource the alert that triggered is set on. I can see what the severity level is of the alert. So again, this could be info, warning, immediate, critical. I can see what type of alert and what subtype of alert. I can see that this alert has been canceled as opposed to an active alert, and so forth. You can see when the alert started, when it was canceled. You can see the last time we updated information about the alert. You can see if the alert has been suspended. You can see what state the alert's in. You can see the ID of the definition for this alert. So if you want to, you could use this alert ID, alert definition ID, in the request to get one alert definition. Additionally, you can see the name of the alert definition, and you can see what is being impacted by this alert. Now, as you can see, once again, we have links very similar to what we've seen before. So the self link that we see here will return the very same results that we just got. You can see who the owner of the alert is. You can see what resource the alert's on. You can see the definition for the alert by going to any of these 4 different endpoint URLs. So you've already got information about where you might want to go next in terms of the REST request that you're going to run. All right, that was the get all alerts REST request. Let's take a look at get one alert. Well, this is set up very similar. When you take a look at get one alert, you'll notice that the URL is very similar to what we just saw, except that we have added in a path parameter using our Postman variable called Aria Ops _alert _ID. So if you want to copy and paste an alert, or you want to use a variable such as I'm doing here, this is the format of the URL that's going to get information about one alert. If we hit send, check our status code, let's see what we got. We got a 200, that's great. What we're getting here is information about just that one triggered alert. So if you want to look up all the alerts, you can do so. You've seen how to do that. And additionally, if you want to be very precise, very surgical, and see the information about just a single alert using these REST operations and the endpoint URLs we've been talking about, you can do that and a whole lot more. Join me in the next video as we continue exploring the Aria Operations REST API.